Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen, and here we explore an experiential, embodied approach to conscious manifestation and spiritual awakening. So, today I will be talking about the manifestation technique debate that is going on in the community at the moment. And I also want to answer the counter argument: is being just another manifestation technique? So, as you know by now, I teach an embodied approach to conscious manifestation. And what this means is that it's based on grounding in your true nature first. So, your true nature as God, divinity, consciousness. This is also known as your being, your beingness. And my approach is based on knowing this beingness, being embodied in it, feeling good in the present moment, knowing that your desires are already done, that you are already one with everything, and surrendering and trusting the process. So it's based on presence, relaxation, and well-being at the forefront. And this approach, it doesn't put a huge emphasis on techniques because it prioritizes the understanding of oneness, and that separation between you and your desired reality is only an illusion. It focuses on embodying and living from this understanding. And from there, there is little use for any techniques. In fact, they're not actually needed at all. Now, I understand that the majority of the teachings in the manifestation community are technique heavy. So when it comes to an embodied approach, it can look like the two approaches are against one another. And that gives rise to counter arguments, such as the idea that embodiment, i.e., being, is just another technique. But this counter argument comes from two main misperceptions. So the first one is that the embodied approach is anti technique or is spiritually superior, which it isn't. And secondly, it comes from a misunderstanding of what being actually means. So, embodiment is not anti technique. There is nothing wrong with doing techniques. Techniques are just a tool to help you to feel into the embodied state. And if you have found something that works for you, that you enjoy doing, that relieves pressure rather than adding to it, then there is absolutely no need to stop doing that or to question it in any way. It is true, however, that when we embody these teachings, there is actually no need to do any manifestation techniques at all. And we often won't be motivated to do them because we're already embodying abundance. We're already embodying our innate oneness, and that nothing is separate to us, and that what we want is available. So, from that understanding, there is no real need or motivation to do any techniques at all. And this is what Neville Goddard would describe as living in the end. You already are in the embodiment that the desire is already yours, and so therefore there is no striving to get it at all. However, what we need to be aware of with this is that this can inflame the spiritual ego, where we associate not doing techniques with being better or more powerful, more godlike, judging people that do use techniques or saying that techniques are useless or fighting against each other. And I think that one of the reasons why there is a debate about techniques versus being is because the embodied approach is often perceived as spiritual superiority, or it actually is taught as if it is superior in the sense that not using techniques makes you better in status or more enlightened or a better manifester because you don't have to rely on techniques. But really, techniques absolutely do have a place in conscious manifestation as a tool to help you with spiritual embodiment, which is the knowing of your true nature as God. But once this embodiment becomes natural, the need to use them falls away. And this is just a normal, natural progression, and it doesn't make techniques wrong. They served their purpose. And someone who has truly walked that path and is now embodying their true nature will know that. They won't feel the need to demonize the idea of using techniques or see it as something inferior. And when you do that, you're not as enlightened as you think you are. Techniques are not useless or wrong. They just need to be used correctly and understood as the tool that they actually are, and not understood as the thing that is causing the desire to manifest. Because a common issue in the community is that we often think that it is the technique itself that is actually manifesting something. And this misconception doesn't just come from the community that is consuming this information, but it also sometimes comes from those of us that are teaching it. This is why there is so much content in the community arguing back and forth about which technique works and which one doesn't, and why this technique is better than that one, and why that technique is useless, and why you should do this one instead, and this is how you should do it. But actually, no technique is wrong and no technique is better than the other. They're all completely neutral. All techniques have the exact same function. They are a tool which helps you to get into embodiment, and which tool you use is down to your personal preference. It really doesn't matter. So if you like to say affirmations or create vision boards or scripting or visualizing or SATs, which is the Neville Goddard method, state akin to sleep, they're all equally effective when applied properly, when they are used as a tool to bring you into the embodiment of your true nature rather than as something that is getting you a manifestation. Once we have reached the embodiment of our true nature, the tool no longer needs to be used. So this idea that we need to do any technique all day, every day, and be doing it repetitively shows that your approach to the technique is not actually achieving what it's supposed to achieve. Because a technique could be used just once to get to ground you in the embodiment of your true nature, and then you just stay in that embodiment. If you are having to, for example, say affirmations 10,000 times a day, then your focus is more on the technique itself than what the technique is supposed to do, which is to ground you in the embodiment of your true nature. But when we are obsessed with obsessively saying affirmations over and over again all day, we're not becoming aware of our true nature. We are saying affirmations because we still believe that we are separate to all that is, and that the power is in an affirmation to get us what we want. So when we think it is the technique itself that is manifesting, we put all of the power in the technique, and we forget that we are the power itself. We start comparing other techniques against each other, and we create all of these arbitrary rules that do not really need to exist. For example, the idea that you need to repeat affirmations all day, every day, the idea that you need to say a specific number of them a day, like 10,000 or whatever the case may be. This also happens with other techniques as well. So, for example, visualizing, this idea that if you visualize in third person, your manifestation won't work. But if you visualize in first person, it will. That rule is completely redundant when you understand oneness, when you understand that it is not the technique that is manifesting anything. The technique is just a tool to get you into the embodiment of knowing you are not separate from all that is, that the desire is already yours. If you are stressing about whether your visualization was in first person or third person, this is because you are putting all of the power in the technique and you're not embodying your true nature. And I say this as a soft criticism for the community, but not meant in any attacking kind of way. But it is ironic how the community at large teaches knowing you are God, but then perpetuates the illusion of separation in the way that it teaches how to actually get the desire. The more a teaching is grounded in the true understanding of oneness, the less it is going to be focused on doing techniques. The focus is going to be more on your true nature as one with all that is. And knowing that the embodiment of that is enough to manifest your desires, because it's the reason why we can manifest desires in the first place. So this leads me to one of the main questions that I wanted to answer today, which is beingness just another technique? No, it's not. So the word being or beingness describes the embodiment of being aware of your true identity as consciousness, God, divinity. And when you are aware of yourself as the observer, that space, that vantage point of turning inwards towards your truth, that is what it means to just be. That's being. So sometimes people think that being is this passiveness, because they cannot think, because they're so used to doing, they cannot conceptualize what it means to just be. But being means you are dwelling in your true nature as awareness. That's who you truly are, not the egoic character, the self that we have built. This is not a technique, it is a real, tangible experience of yourself as God, as awareness. The very thing that pretty much all teachings, no matter what school of thought they are coming from, that is the main message they are all driving home. That you are God, you are awareness, you are the universe itself. Being that is not a technique, it's not a concept, it's directly experienced. So being is not another doing. You're not performing beingness. It's not a costume that you put on. It's not a role that you play to get your desire. It's who you are when you know you already have it, because you are oneness itself. So the counter argument that being is another technique is coming from a huge misunderstanding of what being actually is. The teaching that you are God is also approached and taught in the same way in the manifestation community. And it becomes another ego inflation, spiritual ego. I am God and I'm controlling everything. Everyone is bending to my will. The ego starts performing what it thinks God is, what it thinks it is to be all powerful. And it takes it on as a concept, but it's not actually coming from the true grounded experience of what that really means. It's the ego wearing the costume of God. It's not a true awareness of your true nature as God. And the reason for that is because the true awareness of being God is a very different experience. It's not ego inflation, it is a stripping back of that egoic self. It's humbling, it's heart opening, softening, surrendering. It gives up control. So to me, it is no surprise that the teaching of just being is interpreted in the exact same way as the teaching of being God. Like it's another technique, like it's another performance, like it's another thing you have to do to get your desire. But beingness is actually just the experience of being aware of your true nature, which can be achieved by turning inwards and becoming aware of yourself as the observer of all that is. This is not a technique, it's the truth of who you truly are. Hope this helps.